Neighbors in shock, a community in disbelief.
He seems to have been a good kid. He mowed the lawn in the summer. And
Tonight we learn more about a double homicide in Clearfield and the people involved.
Have you noticed a difference in turkey prices this year compared to last Thanksgiving? Coming up, I spoke to a local meat market and a local farmer about the reason why.
One storm is moving away, another storm is out in the Pacific. What's going to happen in between? Will we see any more haze? Will there be any travel trouble? I'll let you know.
A new study from the University of Utah is pointing to a certain gene, one that could be key to understanding autism. Rare and highly collectible, all toys from a beloved Utah radio personality who passed away.
The timing of it is perfect. It is perfect for Christmas.
The story behind one man's lifelong collection and what it means to his family to have it all in one place.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Evans. Kelly is off tonight. We're tracking a developing story in Clearfield tonight where two people are dead in what police are calling a double homicide. Two bodies were found inside a house this afternoon. One person was taken into custody near 680 North, 1050 West in Clearfield. That's where Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree is tonight. Jenna, tell us what happened and where police are now in their investigation.
Bob, earlier this evening, officers secured a search warrant and are gathering evidence. Police confirming the two found dead, an older man and a woman. We spoke with one neighbor who knew them for many years.
it's so sad. They were just the sweetest people.
Debbie Lehman says the couple who lived across the street from her were the kind who would bring treats to neighbors during the holidays.
We'd help each other as neighbors. We'd borrow tools occasionally.
Police confirm the suspect is a close relative of the older adults. He was living in the home. Wednesday afternoon, he surrendered to officers and was taken into custody.
Seems to have been a good kid. He'd mow the lawn in the summer and things like that.
Chief Kelly Bennett says an adult female also living in the home found the bodies and made the 911 call.
This is a tragic situation. You know, we hope to have a celebration with our family members, and so does this family as well, and they'll be mourning the loss of two loved ones.
Police say there is evidence of an altercation inside the home and garage.
They do have some traumatic injury to them, so we do believe that this is a double homicide.
On a peaceful street where friendly neighbors help each other out.
Our officers, you know, it's the holidays for them as well, but we're dedicated here. We will investigate this throughout the weekend and put as much time and effort into it as we have to find a resolution to what occurred here and hopefully find some justice for this family.
Lehman says she can't believe what happened today, just feet away from her front door.
It's so sad that people, when they get angry, that they have to turn to violence, that they can't talk, you know? And that wonderful people get hurt because of it.
With the holiday weekend, Chief Bennett says it will take officers a few days to make sure family members are notified before sharing the identities of the victims with the public. Reporting live in Clearfield, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Jenna, thank you. Investigators in Kaysville are looking into what caused a house to catch fire this afternoon. It happened near 600 North, 300 East. There was interior and exterior fire, smoke, and water damage. Gratefully, nobody was injured. A man is facing multiple charges, including aggravated assault after allegedly firing a gun at two tow truck workers in West Valley City. Court documents indicate 31-year-old Jorge Rodriguez Ramirez shot 2 rounds from his car last night near 3500 South and 5600 West. He later told officers he thought the victims were a threat and admitted drinking. The gun was previously reported stolen from Sandy. Ramirez claims he bought it a year ago. He's being held without bail. While you were checking out of the grocery store with your Thanksgiving turkey, you no doubt noticed it was more expensive than last year. Local farmers and butchers tell Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser there are several reasons why poultry now costs a pretty penny.
The countdown to Turkey Day is on. And customers at Snyder Brothers Meats and Holiday are in a last-minute rush to lock down some poultry.
A lot of my guys are pushing anywhere from 12 to 14-hour days.
Thanksgiving comes with a lot of preparation. Snyder's reserves 1,000 turkeys all the way back in January, but they got a call a few months ago from their supplier saying the prices just had to go up.
Turkey prices, just compared to last year, have already gone up about 20%.
The American Farm Bureau says inflation isn't just to blame. General Manager Jacob Wilson says processing delays, labor shortages, and the avian flu also played a role.
I know that in Utah, well over a quarter of the fresh birds already had been lost to the avian flu.
Farmer Shane Bowler at Utah Natural Meat says fuel and feed costs stopped them from raising turkeys this year.
Ton of turkey feed a couple of years ago was probably around $300, and now we're probably 500 plus.
Bowler typically raises around 700 turkeys each Thanksgiving and butchers them all himself. They usually sell them here at the store on their farm in West Jordan.
Farmers are used to just pushing on and having to get through difficulty. That's part of what we do.
His loyal customers have just switched over to a ham or a roast this year. So if one store is out of turkey or if the price hike is just too much, these guys want you to remember why you're planning this meal in the first place.
There's been years where we've sold out of turkeys and there's none to take home ourselves. And those are the years that we start new traditions, find alternative options, and it's really more about the family being at the table than what's on top of it.
In Salt Lake County, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
There is an interesting study from the University of Utah that could shed light on what impacts our social development at a genetic level. Researchers at the U did an experiment on zebrafish involving 1,100 commonly used drugs. The fish were exposed to the drugs, and then the drugs were washed out of the water prior to the fish growing up. Fish exposed to 4 of those drugs later behaved relatively disinterested in social interactions with other fish.
We were able to figure out that they're working through a particular group of proteins, and we were then able to come in to animals that were already non-social and target one of those proteins that is altered in these fish. And remarkably, the fish became social again.
The researchers wanted to make clear there is no evidence these drugs cause any type of disorder in humans, such as autism. Researchers are also looking into studies in mice before exploring this type of research on humans. Switching gears to weather now, and it was a big travel day for Utahns. Here's a look at the evening drive at the Spaghetti Bowl in the Salt Lake Valley from our Skyfox drone. This was shot earlier this evening. What a gorgeous sight. Wow. Beautiful day today.
Yeah.
But how is it going to be for the Turkey Bowl in the morning, Dan?
It's going to be A-OK. We'll just gobble it up, right? Lots of
for those of us who are going to be playing football in the morning, though.
Yeah.
In our family turkey.
It'll be a little bit cold. The ground's kind of, it'll be frosty. You'll have, the ground hasn't really frozen, but it is hard. And you'll want to make sure you go down easy. Play the tag football or yeah. But anyway, looks good. No problems whatsoever. In fact, traveling tomorrow is going to be great. Tonight we have a little bit of snow still falling in the Uintas, but the one thing that's really going to be an issue is the wind here in southern Utah. So gusty winds all the way through tomorrow during the day. And then as we move into Friday, traveling home is going to be fantastic. Looks A-OK all across the state. Outside right now, it's in the mid to upper 30s, and the forecast showing that we'll see slightly cooler temperatures tomorrow compared to today. Good driving conditions through Sunday, but there's bigger storms over the weekend, Bob. They could be the kind that really help the snowpack. So we'll have more on that coming up in just a bit.
any sense. It really doesn't.
Remembering the lives lost in an unthinkable tragedy. The message one Utahn with ties to the Colorado Springs nightclub shooting has for the world tonight. Police have identified the suspect in a 50-year-old cold case murder in Vernal. How they found him and why the case is still open. And could there be big changes to Halloween here in Utah? The trick one lawmaker has in mind for trick-or-treating.
Zach Wilson no longer the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. He's been benched. We'll get his reaction coming up in sports.
Families who would otherwise not have a holiday meal for tomorrow were able to get a helping hand today at Smith's Ballpark. Harmon's teamed up with the Crossroads Urban Center to hand out nearly 4,000 meals, complete with turkeys and side dishes, to anyone who needed them. No questions asked.
We have so many people that we see every day that need assistance with food, and we know that a lot of these folks also, because of being low income, not having enough dollars to stretch for the basic cost of living, often don't really get to celebrate holidays as much, and I think that gets neglected. And so we know that everybody that is struggling for food also deserves to be able to have a holiday meal.
This is the 25th year Harmon's has supplied food for this event. The holiday season can often be difficult for those with mental health concerns. To help combat some of the stress, Project Connection, a nonprofit mental health agency, is launching its Sub for Santa drive. Each year, their therapists put together a list of items patients and families may need for the holidays, which often include things most of us take for granted.
There are definitely, kids who want kid things and some of the standard kid items that are on the wish list. But we've also sat down with the parents and looked at, what kinds of needs do you have for groceries and what kinds of needs do you have for clothing.
The drive runs until December 16th. If you'd like to help, find more information at projectconnection.org. You may have seen it earlier this week. Fox 13 News entertainment reporter Rich Bonaducci was live at Valley Fair Mall on Good Day, Utah, looking through a new pop-up shop of a massive toy collection owned by the late X96 contributor David Punk Olson. Well, Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph sat down with his family before the store opens on Black Friday to learn what it means to see it all in one place and available for everyone to see and own.
So we're at Valley Fair Mall, and the Nerd Store is helping us to set up a pop-up for my brother's collection. His name is David Olson, but many people know him as Punk from X96. He passed away in February, and he left us a very large collection.
Is it overwhelming to see all in one place like this?
Yes. It's all been in one place at my house, but a lot of it's been boxed. And so to see it out is like, oh my gosh. David passed away in February, and we've been going through boxes ever since.
It's been, at first it was so overwhelming because we had so much stuff and we didn't even know what to do with it, and we didn't have room to sort it.
What was it about collecting that he loved so much?
That's hard to, I'm not sure I totally understand that myself, but I know there was a certain adrenaline rush when he found something he was looking for. From the time he got his first one, when he went to see Star Wars when he was 7 years old or so.
So Star Wars was probably his favorite. He started collecting Star Wars as a child, and I think his collection kind of grew from there.
Was he kind of a stickler for you don't open the box? And
he was very much a stickler, yeah, because he would buy gifts for my kids when they were growing up, and he would say to them, don't open these, and they're like, 10 and 12, they're like, of course we're opening these. Love sharing things, and some of that we didn't even realize until he passed away when people reached out to us.
In fact, that's probably what's made it all bearable in some ways now, is the response that we're getting. The timing of it is perfect. It's perfect for Christmas, and hopefully a kid somewhere will get exactly what he wants at a good price.
That was Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph reporting there. He'll have a closer look at this toy collection at Valley Fair Mall this Friday night, right here on Fox 13 News at 9. Dan?
Hey, morning, Utah's Weather Authority showing you some beautiful photographs. Yeah, this is American Fork Canyon yesterday, sent in by Melody Penrod. My goodness, she sent the Weather Authority on the Facebook page over 35 of these pictures plus 3 videos with music. Unbelievable. You got to go there and see it. This is just one of the pictures up close. All of this frost on the snow that had grown in American Fork Canyon. Yep, we're going to be in a dry spell for a little while. We still are not going to see a lot of precipitation. 2 inches up in the Little Cottonwood Canyon area, that's it. A little bit of snow in Colorado right now, but outside Salt Lake City, we're starting to cool down. We're still 37 degrees. The winds are diminishing. They've been a little bit gusty today. They are really gusty across southern Utah. We're going to watch those, and those of you who are traveling Interstate 15 going north, places like Leeds and Tokerville and areas along the I-15 corridor and those canyons of southern Utah, including near Lake Powell and the area of the Grand Staircase Escalante, those spots. See some wind tonight and tomorrow morning. 30s all across Utah until you get to the southern part of the state. And the reason the winds are so gusty is that northerly flow, and the pressure gradient is going to keep things quite windy through tomorrow. But look at this nice ridge of high pressure. Traveling tomorrow is going to be good everywhere except for New Mexico and southeast Colorado. Good travel again on Friday, and you can see the only trouble spot here in the northwest. We'll put this into motion, and let's go into Saturday. Okay, Saturday we have this little weak storm that'll come by. Might cause some trouble for travel in western Wyoming across Interstate 80. That's it. Doesn't look like it'll be much until we get into Sunday, and we begin to see the upper level low drop down into the Pacific Northwest. And here we are Monday morning. This is going to be a commuter special. Updated models are a little slower with this storm, so by Monday afternoon it barely moves. That could increase the intensity of snowfall over northern Utah. We'll have to see how this plays out, but bottom line is Monday could be commuter specials on both ends of the day. Still hanging around on Tuesday into Tuesday night, and then Wednesday, here comes another storm. Thursday, this is the warm front, and then the cold front itself arrives on Friday. So very active weather pattern coming up. So tonight, 27, we'll call it a little frosty. Again, for those football games tomorrow, no precipitation expected, just chilly in the morning. 42 for the high tomorrow, 40 in Vernal, 40 in Richfield, St. George, be 55. And then sunshine until Saturday. See a few clouds around. Monday, increasing clouds and a lot of wind. Monday night, Tuesday, some rain with snow down to 3,500 feet. All right, 42 Salt Lake, 45, and then 44, clouds on Saturday, snow Monday and Tuesday, snow showers, and much colder with highs in the 30s and lows in the teens. A winter weather pattern next week.
Dan, thank you. Straight ahead, what we're learning about the mass shooting at a Virginia Walmart where an employee gunned down his own team members.
The mystery behind the murders of 4 University of Idaho students continues to grow. I'm Ashley Soriano, and I've got the latest on the investigation coming up.
In national news, several victims of yesterday's mass shooting in the break room of a Chesapeake, Virginia Walmart were identified tonight. They are Lorenzo Gamble, Brian Pendleton, Kelly Pyle, Randall Blevins, and Tanika Johnson. Police declined to release the name of a 6th victim who was only 16 years old.
This is a horrendous event. It's a horrendous, senseless act of violence.
The gunman, 31-year-old Andre Bing, took his own life before police arrived. Walmart confirmed today that he was a shift lead at the store. Witnesses say he was coming in for the start of his shift when he opened fire.
The manager just came from around the corner. He never entered the break room, but he just stood in the doorway and he just opened fire to anyone in the room.
A memorial for the victims grew outside the store today. It remains closed indefinitely. Walmart says it will open a resource center to provide meals, counseling, and other services for affected employees. Idaho police continue asking the public for help as they struggle to find a suspect in the murders of 4 university students. Fox's Ashley Soriano reports from Moscow.
No suspects have been named or arrested, and we continue looking for what we believe to be a fixed blade knife used in the murders.
A desperate search for answers in the brutal stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. 10 days after they were found killed inside a home near campus, police still don't have any leads in the case.
We understand you want answers. We want answers too. But these take time.
Investigators are now planning to work through Thanksgiving to focus on processing forensic evidence gathered at the crime scene. Moscow police, state police, and the FBI also all working together to follow up on more than 1,000 tips. According to police, they've already interviewed more than 150 people and extensively looked into reports of one of the victims having a stalker.
We have heard mention that Kaylee stated she may have had a stalker, and to this point have been unable to corroborate the statement, although we continue to seek information and tips regarding that report.
Police have revealed very little details on the stabbings, including why they believe this was a targeted attack. They have, however, ruled out the possibility of a murder-suicide. They've also cleared from suspicion 2 surviving roommates in the house, as well as a man seen on surveillance video near one of the victims, and a private driver who took 2 of the victims home on the day of the murders. To help support this ongoing investigation, Idaho's governor has promised police $1 million to help solve this case. In Moscow, Idaho, Ashley Soriano, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Just days after the shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs, how a Utah native is bringing together people to honor the lives lost and how you can help.
A quest for justice half a century in the making and halfway resolved this week. A sister's amazing story of determination in the face of grief.
An annual project allowing seniors in South Ogden to give back to the homeless.
I feel good about making them.
How a year's worth of work is spreading a little warmth for the holidays.
Utah lawmakers are looking at regulating your teens' phones and social media.
Bogey is back. The Jazz taking on Bojan Bogdanovic and the Pistons tonight. The highlights coming up.
There was a vigil tonight in Salt Lake to remember those killed and injured in the mass shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs this past weekend. Fox 13 News reporter Lucy Nelson spoke with the vigil organizer, a Utah native who worked at Club Q.
It just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't.
As the country woke up to the news of the shooting at Club Q Sunday, Marissa Cannon had been dealing with it since the night before.
I woke up and I looked at him and I said, "Is Derek alive?" And he said, "No." And then we just laid on the bed and cried.
She lost not only 2 co-workers that night, but members of a community she calls family. A place of bingo nights, dancing, love, and most importantly, a place where she says she truly felt safe.
Just like a feeling of when that safe space was ripped away, it was like not only that was ripped away, but I mean, where am I going to go with my friends to another club? Like, where are we going to go? Because when we go out, we go to the gay club because that's where everyone is safe.
Now she's back in Utah to mourn this loss with a community she also calls home, asking them to stand in solidarity with their neighbors who are hurting.
Well, here I am to tell you it happened in 2022 in a place that we thought for 20 years was safe. It happened. So here we are.
She organized a vigil at Washington Square Park in Salt Lake City Wednesday night to honor and mourn the lives lost at Club Q and to show the Colorado Springs community they are not alone.
Just hope that us assembling will be more powerful than any of the dark energy that happened at the club. So all I could do is come out here and ask my groups and my people, please come together for me and my friends and my community because we need help.
If you'd like to help those impacted in the Colorado Springs community, we'll have links where you can donate posted to our website. In Salt Lake City, Lucy Nelson, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Today, a Colorado judge denied bond for the suspect in the Club Q mass shooting, 22-year-old Anderson Aldrich. It was his first court appearance. Formal charges have not yet been filed. The local DA said today that hate crime charges are still being considered. A Syracuse man is accused of threatening a woman with a razor blade on a JetBlue flight from New York to Salt Lake City Monday. Police say 41-year-old Merrill Fackrell had been drinking and talking with the woman sitting next to him. When she put on a movie, police say he put his hand over the screen, told her to pause it, held a straight-edge razor near her neck, and told her husband to leave. The woman was able to escape. Another passenger got Fackrell to put the blade down. He was arrested when the plane landed. It is a cold case solved, at least in part. But it took 50 years of pain, grief, and stubborn resolve. Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth spoke with the woman who has been fighting for her brother for most of her life.
Lynette Nickel-Ray lost her brother on November 26, 1972. It was the Sunday after Thanksgiving 50 years ago. In recent years, her determination was matched by some committed sheriff's investigators to ID a killer.
He had been home just about 30 days when this happened.
Gregory Nickel, Greg, fresh from Vietnam, a decorated combat veteran, just 21 years old.
He was so young. Tell me about him.
The sweetest, kindest, friendliest, most helpful, just outgoing person in the world.
Nickel and his 18-year-old date were parked at a scenic overlook when a man knocked on the car window. When Nickel rolled it down, the man shot him repeatedly with a .22 pistol. He and his accomplice burned the car on a back road with Nickel's body inside. They kept the woman with them until sunrise, releasing her 60 miles from where it all began.
Oh, I can't imagine what she's lived with. Probably looked over her shoulder for years, knowing that she begged him to let her live.
The Vernal Express reported nearly 150 law enforcement officers searched the Book Cliffs area from the ground and the air for 4 days. The case went cold, but Greg's sister Lynette never gave up.
I made Greg a promise back in 1972 that I was not going to put this down. I was going to find who did this to him.
It was in 2020, sheriff's detectives resubmitted DNA evidence to the state crime lab. One of the two profiles the lab produced led to Daniel Arthur Bell.
My elation deflated quickly as soon as Vance told me that he was deceased.
Bell had worked on a ranch near Vernal in 1972. He served time for another rape in Oregon and died in Washington state.
Was he anyone who you were even aware existed?
Never had heard of him in my life.
Bell's crimes had more than two victims. Greg Nickel's parents were never the same, both dying in their 60s.
But I think the biggest toll was on my younger brother, and he drank himself literally to death.
The tip line for Uinta County and their cold case email is on your screen. That number, 435-781-6700. Now that Daniel Arthur Bell has been ID'd, the detectives hope someone out there may know who Bell ran with back then. If the other suspect is still out there, Lynette still has a promise to keep. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The public comment period is being extended on a proposal that would expand I-15 between Farmington and Salt Lake City. You now have until January 13th to give feedback. The project would widen Interstate 15 to include as many as 7 travel lanes in each direction and merge lanes and space for shoulders and buffers. UDOT acknowledges the expansion could impact homes and businesses next to the interstate. UDOT says they got a lot of requests to push the public comment deadline until after the holidays. Coming up, giving thanks and giving back. We'll show you a retirement community's effort to keep Utahns warm this winter.
And hoping you'll have a fantastic Thanksgiving Day. The weather, well, it's cooperating for the most part, traveling to Grandma's house. We'll have the rest of the forecast for you coming up just a little bit.
What was once just a craft idea for senior citizens in South Ogden has turned into an annual tradition to give back to the community. Today, they delivered about 200 winter hats for Utah's homeless. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold shows us.
These are some I made.
Roy native Lila Cooper has been making hats.
The brighter ones are for the ladies and for the children.
For the past 2 years.
I've lost count. Last year I know I made about 85 before the end of the year.
Something Cooper says she's mastered getting done pretty quickly.
If I'm not doing anything, I can, in a day and a half, I can make one. In my spare time.
Cooper, along with about a half dozen other women at Trio Senior Living in South Ogden, have made it a year-round effort to make winter hats for the homeless.
They asked if they could continue making them and donate them again this year. So they've been diligently working over the last year to make what we're donating today.
Karen Summers, the Connections Manager for Trio Senior Living, says they gave out about 100 hats last year, the first year for the project, donating them to Seeger Memorial Clinic in Ogden.
They just use the yarn that we have or that is donated. They use the hat looms, or they free crochet or knit. And then we've just been stockpiling them and waiting for this day.
Today, they loaded up their van with hats and donated items like blankets, as well as those who made them and even others who just wanted to show their support for this cause, before heading down the road to find a place in need. That place ended up being the Ogden Rescue Mission.
For them to be able to go out and see their work and see it appreciated is a big thing. And the fact that the hats are so colorful and joyful and that you can see them out in the community, it does make you feel warm and fuzzy.
Warmth is something Cooper hopes her efforts will help provide as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday.
My husband and I are going to have a real nice Thanksgiving tomorrow with our son. So it would be nice if everybody had that opportunity to stay out of the cold and into the warmth.
Well, Summers tells me they also donated well over 200 pairs of socks during their October drive. Now, looking ahead, on top of the hats, Cooper tells me she'd also like to start making scarves to give out to the homeless to also help keep them warm during these colder months. In Ogden, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Still ahead, lawmakers on Utah's Capitol Hill want to ban cell phones in K-12 schools. We'll explain that, plus a proposal to restrict social media use by teenagers. And we'll explain why one Utah lawmaker wants to change the date when Utahns trick or treat for Halloween.
Coming up, we'll hear from Zach Wilson after he was benched as the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. And Bogey back in town as the Jazz took on the Pistons. Does the Jazz get the win? The highlights are on the way.
It's about the kids. It really is. It's about making sure that they are going to have a better opportunity to learn at school without these distractions.
You're going to want to look up from your phone to watch this story. Lawmakers on Utah's Capitol Hill are proposing bans on your child's phone in the classroom. They're also looking at social media use among teens and whether it ought to be restricted. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has the story from Utah's Capitol Hill.
Students at Clayton Middle School were spending a lot of time on their phones, and it was causing problems beyond just distractions in a classroom. There were fake social media accounts, cyberbullying, surreptitious recordings.
They couldn't focus on classwork because they were nervous about what was going to be posted about them during class.
So Principal Dallin Miller says the school decided to ban phones from being out in class.
It's made a huge difference in behavior, incidents that are reported, teacher reporting, things that are happening in class and outside of school.
It's an idea lawmakers on Utah's Capitol Hill are now looking at.
And I don't want us, specifically as taxpayers and kids when they're in school, to have those distractions during the classroom time.
Representative-elect Trevor Lee is proposing to ban cell phone use in all K-12 schools.
When kids get to class, they have to put their phone into a cubby. And through the duration of the classroom, they are not allowed to have the phone out.
He says the phone will still be there for emergencies, but it avoids other problems.
If a kid can't go a class without looking at their phone, that's an even bigger problem that hopefully we can start to say, hey, let's create habits that you're not on your phone all day, every hour of the day. Let's have some breaks, and the break is going to be when you're learning.
Lawmakers are also looking at social media use among teens and whether that needs to be regulated. A bill is in the works up here on Capitol Hill, but it's not quite clear exactly what it'll do.
When we talk about minors using social media, are there more restrictions that we need to have compared to an adult? And that could range anywhere from looking at ways to restrict a minor's ability to use it at all, versus giving parents more tools to be able to opt in.
Research on the harms of social media on children's mental health has alarmed policymakers in Utah, including Governor Spencer Cox, who's spoken out about these same problems. Representative Jordan Tusher says he's talking with social media companies about the legislation. So far, they haven't responded to messages from Fox 13 News seeking comment.
It's a very tricky area because minors have First Amendment rights as well as adults. And so we have to make sure that we're doing something that is actually going to stand up in the courts and solve the problem that we see.
Clayton Middle School's principal says the phone restrictions have helped outside the school.
Absolutely. And everybody's on board. 100% of the teachers and staff are helping. The parents are helping. It's helped with arguments at home over screen time. Like the parents are thanking us. It's been great.
On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah leaders took part in a day of service today, helping Utahns who are experiencing homelessness. Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Henderson partnered with the rescue mission of Salt Lake City to serve hundreds of meals. People at the mission hope something as simple as providing a hot meal can open the door for those wanting to get back on their feet.
If a person is just desperate to eat a meal, then they really can't concentrate on any other area of their life and improving their life situation. So as we provide that meal, and today a Thanksgiving banquet meal, our goal is that stirs hope in their life to address other and deeper issues relating to the person's homelessness, so they want to get help and then move off the streets and become productive citizens of our community.
In addition to meals, the mission also provided warm clothing, hot showers, and offered counseling for those in need at this event. There's a big debate among Utah parents over a different holiday, and it begs the question, is a new resolution on Capitol Hill a trick or a treat? Senator Kirk Cullimore is drafting a resolution calling for Halloween to be observed on the last Friday of October.
Some people have asked why Friday and not Saturday, and Friday is because, a lot of kids still like to dress up for Halloween on a school day and celebrate it at school. We could do the trick-or-treating and all that on a Friday night and have a Saturday to sleep it off.
As a resolution, it would not be legally binding, rather it's just a statement by the legislature. But it will be considered when the legislative session begins in January. Dan Pope in for Allison Krogan tonight. And Dan, it's cold out there tonight, so if anybody's trick-or-treating, they're not only doing it late, but they're running the risk of freezing their candy.
That's right. Candy's all important. Got to make sure that candy stays warm. Or maybe not too warm, or it might melt. Hey, speaking of cold, up American Fort Canyon, this is so cool to see. Get the pun? All right, there are lots of places where what we call hoarfrost forms. It's something that's dangerous for avalanche conditions, but she took a number of amazing photographs and some videos. You can see them on Utah's Weather Authority Facebook page, but I'm going to just show you one of them. I'm going to back away here and let you take a look at that. Look at those crystals that are forming on a stick or on a branch going up. Beautiful, beautiful pictures there. Melody, thank you very much for sharing those with us. Okay, storm's moving away. Outside right now, 37. Winds have died down a bit, but they are still strong across southern Utah. I expect that to continue tonight and tomorrow morning, maybe even through the midday. Here's our temperatures around the region. Roosevelt, they always say to the weatherman, the weather person, the weather gal, the weather girl, get out of the way. I can't see eastern Utah. So I'm going to get out of the way so you can see all of eastern Utah. Rock Springs, 26. Brigham City, 32. Elk goes down to 22. Here's our storm forecast. As this storm drops down into New Mexico, we're left with a ridge of high pressure, good travel conditions region-wide. Most of you probably are only traveling maybe 100 miles at most, maybe 200, or just around the corner, or 50 miles. No problems for travel for you on Thanksgiving Day. Friday looks good as well, with the Pacific Northwest starting to turn a little bit turbulent. And that cold front moves by and brings us just a shot of quick, maybe like today, just a brief snow shower in the morning. Don't think that'll be a problem for travel except for across Wyoming. Now that storm in the Pacific Northwest gets angry. And as it does, it deepens and brings us snow on Monday morning. That's a commuter special. And it doesn't go very far by Monday afternoon, so a double-sided commuter special. Even on Tuesday by 9 a.m. Looking at snow across the eastern part of the state and lingering snow showers along the Wasatch Front. The next storm coming in, a warm front on Thursday morning, followed by Thursday afternoon, kind of improving. But here comes that storm on Friday with another one out in the Pacific. We'll have to see how that all plays out. But again, stormier next week. 27 and frosty tonight. Those of you who are heading out to do the football, Turkey football tomorrow, looking good, sunny, 42. The ground's kind of hard. Temperature-wise, 40s and 30s across the north with 50s in St. George. Those winds will persist tonight, tomorrow morning. Upper 50s, there you go. Big storm, windy Monday night, Tuesday, stormy, very stormy. The Wasatch Front, 42, 45, 44. And then as we move towards Monday, there's that storm snow turning colder, 32 for a high, a low of 18. And that's really cold.
It was the return of Bojan Bogdanovic as the Utah Jazz hosted the Detroit Pistons after trading away the sharpshooter during the offseason. He's playing well, averaging 20 points per game. Pistons won just their first road game of the season last night in Denver after dropping the first 10, and they built a double-digit lead in the second quarter. Former Jazzman Alec Burks, 18 off the bench. Utah back within 4. Jordan Clarkson lays in 2 of his 24 points. But the Pistons were scrappy as Bogdanovic got hot to end the half. 9 points in about 2.5 minutes for him alone. The Jazz down a dozen at the half. Simone Fontecchio providing a spark. Late for the Jazz, couple of threes for him in the third. Then it's Lauri Markkanen scores in the first half. No score in the first half, scored here though in the third quarter. Utah getting it down to 3. Malik Beasley tied this Jazz best, 29 points, including 8 threes to lead all scorers. But credit the Pistons, who only trailed for a couple of minutes of this game as they take it 125-116. Utah played Mississippi State in the championship game of the Fort Myers tip-off. Ben Carlson throws it down. He had 18 points for the Utes. Then it's Gabe Madsen. Quarter 3 is up and good. The Utes were up 5 midway through the second half, but the Utes down 5 late. Marco Anthony to the rim. He had 10 points. The lead was down to 3. The Utes had a chance to tie it. Raleigh Worcester 3 at the buzzer. No good. Mississippi State beat Utah 52-49. BYU played USC in the battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas. Spencer Johnson, 3 of his team-high 18 points. Then it's Rudy Williams. Tough shot. Part of a 9-0 run to put the Cougars up 2. BYU trailed by 1 at the half, but the Trojans built an 18-point lead in the second half. Cougars did battle back. Jackson Robinson, 3 to cut the lead to 7. He had 16 points, but USC held on to beat the Cougars 82-76. Zach Wilson has been benched. He will not be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets this Sunday. He's struggled at times this season with just 4 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions. He completed just 9 of his 22 passes for 77 yards in the Jets' loss last week. This is coming less than 2 years after the former BYU star was the 2nd overall pick in the draft.
Zach's career here is not over. I know that's going to be the narrative. I know that's what everybody wants to shout out, and that's not even close to the case. The intent, the full intent, is to make sure Zach gets back on the football field at some point this year. The young man needs a reset. This is not putting a nail in his coffin. This is not that. It's not even close to that.
It's tough, man, and it's never fun, but the first thing kind of went through my mind is I got to get to work. I got to get better, and this is going to be a good opportunity, a humbling opportunity for me to put my head down and work harder and just be here for this team.
Zach was basically given the job when he was a rookie, so maybe this could be some time that he could figure some things out.
Well, unbelievable pressure on him to perform in a setting he's never been in before.
No, the media in New York a little rougher than in Provo, Utah, or in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, that's right. All right, well, we wish him the very best, Jeff. Thanks. We'll be right back. Have a happy Thanksgiving. QuickCast is next.